All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I am Liz Helton, and this is Just Ask Julia. This month, we are covering what your LinkedIn can do for you that your resume can't. And this is by far one of the most um, captivating topics that we cover when we are working with individuals, because it is really surprising how few people realize how important LinkedIn really is. The number of times we hear throughout the week, gosh, LinkedIn, I have it because I have to, or I got it a long time ago and I never really look at it. It's not something I really engage with. And there's actually a lot of magic in LinkedIn. So that's what we're going to cover off on a lot today. What your resume and your LinkedIn have in common. First and foremost, both documents are a way to introduce yourself, and to give a brief snapshot of what your career background is all about, who you are as a professional. Both LinkedIn and your resume do a great job of helping you communicate your skills, and most importantly, differentiate yourself from the competition. With your resume, as you're applying for jobs, you're aligning it with a very specific application and focusing really on one specific role. Whereas your LinkedIn, we're going to talk today about how it's a little bit more universal. But in both cases, these are tools that help you differentiate yourself in a crowded market space. Now, the magic though with LinkedIn is that while a resume is a really reactive tool, a resume is something that you are retooling and repurposing every time you are sending out an application. You are updating it, or you should be. That's an entirely different presentation. You should be updating it for every single role that you apply to. Your resume is something that is less about you and more about how you're a fit for one specific job. Your LinkedIn is a proactive tool that gets to be all about how you are great at what you do, why you love what you do, and really is a universal demonstration of who you are as a professional. So what does that really mean? Well, it does mean that you need to showcase your story in a universal way to align with every segment of your audience. And this is something that a lot of people don't really take into account, right? They have to think about not just where they want to go. For the job seeker, they tend to write their profile for the job they want to have. But if you're in a position to be lucky enough where you have a current role, you got to speak to your current employer, the friends and family that might be walking in off the street just to check out what you're up to professionally, your current colleagues. For those of you in consulting, it might be your current or potential clients. LinkedIn is a great driver of business for those that are trying to grow a sales pipeline, for example. And then also those just within your industry, those that are maybe industry colleagues or competitors. I can't tell you the number of resume writers that look at my profile on a daily basis because we're just checking each other out. So this is a way to, like, everybody listed here has to be able to see something relevant to them in your profile. You've got to be able to speak to all of these different segments at the same time. And so one of the things that we really focus on is, how do we tell that story? Well, it is all really focused on how you're sharing your voice and through dynamic content. Now, with LinkedIn, there's a lot of opportunity to create content that is unique and personal. So often when we look at profiles, we'll see profiles that are very clearly a drag and drop from a resume. And this is such a missed opportunity, because that's not giving a recruiter or anybody else in your audience something new to chew on, right? Something new to learn about you. Recruiters will always look for you on the internet. They will always Google you, if you will. Having a dynamic and well thought out LinkedIn profile is going to boost that to the top of your search bar, so that your LinkedIn profile is going to be the first thing that they click on. They will also search you out on LinkedIn. And there is a big stat that something like 30% of recruiters will completely disregard a candidate that they can't find on LinkedIn. because it's such an important tool. Recruiters are spending up to 70% of their time on LinkedIn now. And so being able to capture just a small piece of that 70% of a recruiter's time by getting a profile that is really well thought out and put together is going to help differentiate what you are doing and showcasing how you're a great candidate, no matter where you are in your career. A lot of people will say, well, Liz, I'm so early in my career. I don't really know what to say about myself. I don't know how to how to brand myself. I'm new in my career, or gosh, I have so many things I'm interested in. How do I narrow that down? Right. And so the biggest thing that I recommend is to really take a look at how do you talk about what you do in conversation. LinkedIn is a social media tool more than anything else. So the biggest thing that you can really look at is saying, how would I just say this in real life? Um, Oftentimes when I'm working with a client, I will just start with a conversation and I'll just say, well, tell me what it is you really like about what you do. And I will just write down exactly verbatim what they are saying. And sometimes that creates the most engaging about section that you could come up with. I do want to take just a second here to actually show you a couple examples. Um, and so looking at some great profile summaries, and I will drop this link both into the chat box for those of you live, as well as the description for those of you who are watching on YouTube. This is one of our favorite blog posts that LinkedIn actually has put out that talks about LinkedIn profile summaries that are really engaging. And as you look through this, what you're going to see is that every single person here takes a different approach to their about section. They talk about their profile in a way that is really engaging, or they talk about themselves in a way that's really engaging and different. Some of them take a little bit of a cheekier approach. Some of them are really short and to the point. Others are a little bit more bulleted, right? They take more of a bulleted approach. But what you will not see here is somebody that talks about, dynamic professional with robust experience in X, Y, and Z and a talent for 1, 2, and 3. That is just textbook resume language. And with your LinkedIn, you have the opportunity to play a little bit. You will never see a sentence like "I caught fire coding" on a resume. This gives you a chance to be a storyteller and to engage in a little bit more of a dynamic way. Now, the other place that you really want to take a look at on your LinkedIn that is going to help drive people to your profile is your your headline. Your headline is actually kind of a first impression. Now that your headline, if I'm looking over here, this is Ashley Hepworth. She's a wine consultant, and she has one of my all-time favorite profiles. So I always like to use this as an example. This headline right here is eye-catching. If I were to type in wine consultant into the chat box, we would see a lot of profiles that just say wine consultant, right? But Ashley here takes the time to put a little bit of a tagline in there, right? It's just a little bit more of an attention grabber. And that would probably cause me to click on that, right? A lot of individuals will choose to have just the title of what they're doing, right? Of what they currently do, VP of sales at X company. Well, that's repetitive because it will already tell the individual in a search box that's something that you have, right? Also at the top of your resume, it's going to say that, right? So LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to grab people's attention and click on your profile with a really well thought out headline, right? This is something that you want to really think through and say, what makes me different? Why should you click on my profile, right? And so the headline and your about section are kind of those first impressions, right? You can also use the opportunity to share your voice through your experience. Now, in your resume, you're going to have experience that is focused really deeply on the metrics, the percentages and quantifiable results. We don't really use that on LinkedIn so much because it is, well, one, it's a public platform, and oftentimes we have metrics and quantifiable things that you just don't want to share with the world on a from beyond your resume, right? But with your LinkedIn, it's an opportunity to say, hey, this is what was going on at the time I was here. This was happening in the midst of COVID or in the midst of the recession, or, the launch of the iPhone changed the game for this company. And this is how I was involved in that. It gets to weave some of the nuance that you might have in your resume into a more conversational tone, right? Something that you might come up with as you're having a conversation about what got you excited about a position that you had in the past, right? And so your experience section is a great way to say, like, this is what this was all about. All right. So the other opportunity with sharing your voice is going to be all about how you reach your audience. Now, we've talked a little bit in your headline about a really captivating have a really captivating language to make sure people are clicking on your profile, as well as your about section and your experience, right? But you can also reach broader audiences through how you are sharing and posting content. One of the best things about LinkedIn is that it's not stagnant. Your profile isn't just sitting there. It's kind of, the platform in itself is kind of a breathing organism. It's like a 24/7 networking event, right? You've got to engage in those conversations, right? Because otherwise, the algorithm of LinkedIn will drop you further and further down in search bars. So engaging and reaching your audience through posts and content that you're able to push out there and share is going to help advance your voice even further. Some things you can think about when you're posting. You don't have to be some thought leader that is writing blogs on the regular to be able to attract an audience. Things like, successes of work. Maybe you just got a new certification that you're really proud of. Things that you're doing in your professional life and that you're excited about, or maybe that your company is doing that you're really excited about. For those of you that are searching for a job, maybe you found an article that was really exciting that you can, or really engaging, that you can share out and write some content and commentary around, to start a dialogue. LinkedIn really rewards the conversation and the dialogue that you put out there, more than almost anything else, is how you are engaging and having a thoughtful conversation on the platform. All right. So the other thing that LinkedIn can do for you that your resume absolutely cannot is validate your skills. Now, you can list all of your skills till kingdom come on your resume, but validating those skills and proving them is something that LinkedIn is a little bit does a little bit of a different way, right? Now you can give those quantifiable results and prove them in that way on your resume, but with your LinkedIn, we've got a few different things that we want to be able to showcase, right? So first and foremost is LinkedIn now gives you the opportunity to talk about your top 5. Now, this is something that sits right in that about section, and it showcases what are the top 5 skills that you want to be known for, right? And so you'll see it'll be listed here with that little diamond right under that about section. And then simultaneously under each job, it lets you tag the most important skills for each job. And what that starts to do is to take those skills and endorsements that are famously at the bottom of your profile. And it starts to say, hey, this is where I have utilized those skills over and over again. And it's a really visual way to showcase that skill set. Right? It's a really easy way. If somebody's just reading through, they'll be able to say, oh, okay, this is what this job was about. This is what this job was about. And then if they're looking at your skills at the bottom, they'll be able to say, oh, this person has leveraged customer success over and over again, or this person has focused on X, Y, and Z analytical skills over and over again. And this is where what that looks like. You'll see there, it says, you can see where people have endorsed it, and then and how that has been leveraged. Now, LinkedIn is doing a lot more with this skills section. We've always been able to have others endorse it, right? So getting that voice from other professionals in your industry to validate and say, yeah, this person knows communication, this person knows the creative suite, is a great way to validate. But LinkedIn is also giving you the opportunity now to demonstrate transferable skills. Now, this is something that is very new. It's very in beta, and it's something that is growing. So it's something that is showcasing kind of how do you leverage these skills in different ways, right? So looking at like, how do you leverage HR when you're maybe moving into like a mobility space? You can also take skills assessments, and this is something that is a growing, um, a growing section of LinkedIn. But you can look at things like your ability to use Excel. A lot of people claim that they can use Excel, but do you know how to do that pivot table? Do you know how to put all of those really long equations together that we certainly outsource around here because they are not my skill set, or Python or SQL? You can actually take assessments on LinkedIn to get a certification or a stamp of approval that says, yep, you know how to do this. Now you can demonstrate, same with more generalist type of questions, softer skills. You can also put some further answers into your skill sets, sharing why you think you would succeed. This goes back a little bit to those transferable skills. Why would you succeed in this area? Why would you, um, demonstrate how you, like, why you can bring something to the table in an area that you might not necessarily be able to prove. So this is wonderful for career pivoters. This is a feature that LinkedIn is really helping to support those that are um, shifting in their careers. This largely, now this is truly just speculation on my part, coming from the the timing of it is very suspect, but the timing of it centers around the Great Resignation of a couple years ago, where so many people decided to pivot in their careers and say, well, what do I want to do instead of this? And LinkedIn is really trying to help you by creating tools and resources to help career pivoters or those that maybe have non-linear backgrounds demonstrate some skills that are going to say to recruiters, hey, this candidate is intriguing in a couple different ways. And then lastly, going back to those skills assessments, they are, like I had mentioned, it's still very much in beta. A lot of these skills are assessments and add-ins for LinkedIn are something that is growing. So they have right now, they've got just a select number of things that you can take assessments on, both with industry knowledge, tools and technologies, and then LinkedIn will provide recommendations for you as well. But it's a good thing to check out to see if there's any technical or soft skills that you can be kind of demonstrating through your skills section. One thing your resume can absolutely not do is serve as a research tool, right? Your LinkedIn is such a wonderful tool to be able to gain insights about roles and opportunities that you are going after. So premium is something that we've talked about. We actually talked about it a couple months ago in a previous Just Ask Julia that you can find in on our YouTube page. And there's so many wonderful tools with premium to gain insights into the specific job that you're applying to, or the company that you are targeting, and the types of individuals that are applying to that role. And it's great insight to be able to leverage. But beyond that, there are company pages that you should always be checking when you are applying for a role. Even if it's a company that you think you know a lot about, checking out their company page is going to give you a lot of insight into the types of individuals that work there, into the company culture, and to just see what they are putting out into the world from a social perspective. Company pages are a great way to find individuals to reach out to, it'll have a host of the employees that work there, those that select to, be visible to beyond their network anyway, where you can find, okay, who was working in this position before? Who am I reporting to in this position, right? When you're gearing up to apply for a role. So that you can kind of take a look and see who, what can I expect from the individuals that are at this company? Is this a company that employs a lot of people with PhDs, or is this a company that takes people with kind of that non-linear background? It's a great way to do some research and to understand a little bit more about the company than just what they are posting to their website. Of course, as you start to go into that interview stage, you should always, always, always be looking up your interviewers. They are looking you up. Do just as much research about them. And LinkedIn is your first stop to be able to do that. Now, yes, you will always find people that don't have anything on their profile, because the majority of profiles that we look at can be pretty sparse. But every once in a while you can gain some insight into an individual just by looking at their LinkedIn page. Maybe you discover that the person you're interviewing with was part of the same fraternity that you were part of, or that they went to a college that you enjoy their sports team, or that they volunteer for the same types of organizations that you are interested in applying to, or dedicating time to. And these can be great conversation starters in your interview practice as well. So really thinking about holistically about how you're going into your interviews by starting with a little research on who you're having a conversation with. Job recommendations. LinkedIn is really starting to push out more, particularly for premium users, but across the board, recommendations for roles that you should be applying to. So it's going to start, LinkedIn will start to get smarter about the things that you're searching, as well as what you're putting on your profile. And it tries to marry those two ideas together and give you, thoughtful, algorithm approved recommendations for jobs that they think that you should be targeting. I will say that I've seen this get progressively more aligned over the last year or so, that they are definitely starting to push out more specific and targeted recommendations for individuals. And last but not least is LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning is a great tool, again, for premium users. It is included, that gives you the opportunity to have hours and hours, thousands of hours of content from experts and masters in their field on just about any career related topic you can come up with, whether it is about a technical skill set or something that is more of a softer skill, or something about networking or how you are engaging there. You name it, you can probably find a topic on it within LinkedIn Learning. And the content is always of really high quality, and it's definitely something that can help you engage and learn more. LinkedIn's a social media tool, first and foremost. It's actually one of the oldest social media tools that are out there. It has stood the test of time. And the entire intent behind LinkedIn was to be a networking tool, right? So beyond anything else, LinkedIn is the best opportunity to maintain the health of your network. Now, your neighbors, your friends, your colleagues, they don't have access to your resume unless you physically send it to them, right? With your LinkedIn, this is a way for others to know who you are and to stay in touch, right? This is a way for you to, one, keep track of your contacts, to stay in contact with former colleagues, groups. So getting in touch with and broadening your audience by joining groups that are aligned with maybe an industry that you are a part of, or that you have a commonality, whether it's a professional affiliation or the type of professional that you are, or the stage of career that you are in. You name it, there is going to be a LinkedIn group for it. Groups are a great thing for you to be able to tap into. One of the things that I have noticed with groups, though, is that you don't see them as much in the content from groups as much in your feed as you would say on Facebook. I would say on Facebook, I see more posts from all of the random groups that I have joined than I would do on LinkedIn. Whereas with LinkedIn, I have to proactively go into those groups to be able to find what's going on, what's being talked about. So joining and actually checking in with those groups is a great opportunity to leverage and maintain and grow your network on LinkedIn. And then last but not least is getting to know who are the big voices, who are the industry leaders in your space, and how can you stay in tune with what they are saying, and staying in touch with what's going on in the industry that you're in more than anywhere else. LinkedIn is absolutely a great place to know who is talking about the important issues within your space, and how can you be learning from them, right? And gives you a chance to even engage with those voices by commenting and sharing. And it gives you more of a direct line to those big voices. All right. Now, last but not least, just everyday tips to be able to make the most of your LinkedIn. Engagement is absolutely key. Clicking and forgetting on your LinkedIn, those days are done. Now it is all about the engagement factor, both in how you are connecting with other individuals, sharing content, posting, but also what you are putting onto your actual profile. We recommend updating your profile I would say at least every couple of weeks, every month or two, just in the slightest of ways, whether it's adjusting your headline ever so slightly, reviewing the media that you are sharing and featuring on your profile, what you're saying in your about section, reviewing that content and making sure it is up to date is absolutely key. In line with all of this is getting comfortable engaging, right? Getting comfortable putting comments out there. LinkedIn is really pushing forward right now the thoughtful comment. So more than just a thanks smiley face is critical to be able to thoughtfully engage and to boost not only your algorithm, but the algorithm of those around you. If you are posting something to LinkedIn has about a 90-minute window where it wants to see thoughtful engagement from those that are reading your posts, sharing, commenting, and they really want to see something that is a value add in that section. So more than just a like great job or congrats is really helpful. So really think through like, what more can I say, right? Minimum of a sentence. Try and get a couple sentences in there when you comment and try and really boost what you are putting out there. It takes practice, but you'll get there. The number one goal, of course, is to get people to view your profile. So this kind of goes back to a little bit of one of the things we were talking about of researching people, right? One of our favorite tricks is that when you are gearing up to interview with somebody or you are eyeballing a company, look at their profile pages and make sure that your settings are set so that you are visible, so that you're not private. You know, sometimes you can see like so and so viewed your profile or an individual from the Bay Area viewed your profile. We don't want to be anonymous on LinkedIn. A lot of people shy away from that, but I'm here to tell you, don't be anonymous on LinkedIn. Be proud about who you are viewing, and because what happens is that if you view their profile, they're gonna get that notification, and 9 times out of 10, they will come back and view your profile as well. And that helps to start engagement. It starts to potentially open doors that weren't going to be opened. And then in the case of interviewing and applying for jobs, it can just at the very least be a way for people to say, oh wait, I remember that name. Oh, and then, you know, see that they've seen that name somewhere else before, if nothing else. And that engagement, continuously engaging, is going to make it easier to connect. Putting information out there and having a dialogue is going to make it easier to hit that connection and actually form a relationship with somebody that either you're just meeting or that you're hoping to meet, versus a cold just connect and forget. We want to actually have thoughtful dialogues going on. Be on LinkedIn every day. And if you're not actively in a job search, that might not be your biggest priority. I feel weird saying that because I spend more time on LinkedIn than I do on just about anything, but that's the nature of my job. But being on LinkedIn every day is going to help you in a few ways. It's going to help you stay in tune with what is going on in your industry, in the space that you're in. It is going to boost your algorithm and it's going to make you more visible. A little trick for getting yourself onto LinkedIn every day, for those that like to click and forget with LinkedIn, is put it next to your favorite app. So for one, if you don't have LinkedIn downloaded on your phone, you need to have it downloaded on your phone, but put LinkedIn next to whatever your favorite app is. And I am not here to tell you that you cannot go spend however much time you want to spend on TikTok, but before you go click on that TikTok or insert whatever app that you want to click into, make sure that you click onto LinkedIn first. Spend some time engaging with LinkedIn and then go mindlessly scrolling for cat videos. Last but not least, the weak ties study that you see here. One of the things that is really important with LinkedIn and engagement is that LinkedIn did a study. I want to say it was the end of last year, the beginning of this year, where they surveyed thousands of individuals. And what they discovered is that almost 80% of jobs are filled through what are called weak ties. Now, LinkedIn, that is more known as your second degree connections. So making sure that you're paying attention to not just your first degree, the people that are in your network, but seeing who, anytime you're looking at a company, for instance, is is maybe a second degree connection, can be a really big opportunity for you to find that cracked window and a way into a company. What the study really showed was that these weak ties are the driving force for so many people getting jobs, right? And what this means is that somebody had an introduction, or somebody was able to land an interview, maybe cold, but enough people were able to say, hey, we have a mutual connection, let me go check that out. There's an infinite number of reasons why these weak ties are useful, but above all is it cracks the window. It's something for you to be able to say, like, find somebody who can speak on your behalf, or who knows somebody who can speak on your that has spoken on your behalf to them, right? So really using LinkedIn to leverage not just who you really know, but who those people know is going to be one of the biggest, most successful drivers for you in networking successfully on LinkedIn. So that pretty much does it for me today. And I'm Liz Helton. This was our September Just Ask Julia. For those watching live, we are going to open it up for questions. For those watching the recap, you can sign up for a future session or leave a comment on our YouTube, and we are happy to get back to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And with that, I am going to open it up to the room for questions.